Welcome to Third Chances, a talk show where we like to hear from people who devoted their life to health, fitness, and wellness. Medical professionals, health coaches, and all the others who help us every day to cure our body, mind, or soul. Those who always look for more natural, holistic ways to help even more people to live a happier and healthier life. Those who don't like to give up easily and settle on you or themselves. It is never too late or too soon. I always believe that every one of us deserves not just a second chance, but as many as we need. I'm Vera, your host. Who better than a master of reinvention with an accent to guide you through it, right? Just like they say, you are not a tree, so move. And God knows I have done just that in my own life many times. If you are not completely happy with the direction your life is going, this show may help you get the courage to change what is needed, find a new path, and take charge. So come on over, pour yourself a glass of wine, and spend some time with us. Let's laugh and cry together and get inspired by people just like you and me who overcame their own doubts and took a leap of faith to reinvent their life on their own terms. I hope and pray that we help you on that journey. And if you feel so compelled and inspired, please let us know. Don't be shy. Who knows? You may just be our next featured guest with another inspiring success story. So here we go. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Third Chances. And today I have a very nice guest, Karrie Mitten. She's award-winning certified transformational life coach, a speaker, and internationally best-selling author of 2 books, The Sacred Dance and A Short, Sweet, and Sacred Volume 2. She's also a Master Practitioner in Neuro-Linguistic Programming, mental and emotional release, and hypnotherapy. For the past 15 years, Karrie has worked to find new ways of empowering men and women to live their life with purpose and passion. By living a life of constantly redefining herself in the corporate world, Karrie became a passionate, heart-centered support system for men and women struggling to feel confident in their lives. She helps men and women find their true passion and to live out their soul's purpose. So she fits exactly to the theme of our podcast. Welcome, Karrie, in my show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted.
And please tell us where you're calling from.
Yes. So I am in a little town called Escalon, California, which is just about 90 miles east of San Francisco and 90 miles south of Sacramento. We are in the ag country of the world here. Right?
Yeah.
So
from one coast to another, because I'm down in Florida and you are on the other coast, which is how many miles between us? Quite a few, right?
Well, I know I have a house in Michigan, and that's 2,400 miles. So I would imagine you're probably 2,800, 23,000 miles away.
Never measured it, but I will sure once in my lifetime would like to make that trip across the country and see, the beauty of America. That my husband actually did that. Yeah, my husband did that in the 70s. Okay. They took a car and they went through across the America, and it's gotta be a beautiful experience. Yeah.
For sure.
So this is exciting because you do NLP, you do hypnotherapy, which are hugely effective tools for people when they can't get rid of negative thoughts or have a stressful thoughts or anxiety and stuff like that. What do you exactly specialize in for people to help them with?
Well, it's a broad spectrum, right? But primarily what I help people do is release the negative baggage that they have been carrying around their entire life, or maybe even generationally or past life. We all have it. It's what it kind of is, what creates our perception. Our reality is the baggage that we carry around, right? And typically when people come to me, they've recognized that they just feel kind of stuck, or they're tired. They've been dragging around this, these perceptions for so long, and they're ready to let it go. And so primarily, I do work primarily with women. I have had men in my programs as well, but women pretty much come to me just drained, exhausted, in maybe some type of transition in their life where maybe they're an empty nester, maybe they are, recently widowed, maybe they're looking for just something more in their career, and they haven't quite figured out what that is, or their purpose in life. And quite frankly, the world has beat them up, telling them what to do, how to fit inside of a box, right? And the moment that they recognize that this box is not where they belong, that the box can be bigger, but they don't know how to get there, that's when I come in and help them to release what's holding them back.
Isn't it funny that we all kind of grew into that situation when we start questioning, is this all there is? Why am I so beaten down? Why am I? And I think especially for women, we feel our caring nature feels like we have to be there for everybody else. We have to be the strong ones. We have to take care of everybody. And then realize that there's not energy left for ourselves. And I think in the process, we kind of forget who we are. And isn't it something that happened to you? Because I learned that you were in a corporate world, which is too many seeing on the outside as a very successful achievement and very successful career. So what made you reconsider that path?
Well, it all started, my earliest recollection was I was about 16, 17 years old, getting ready to go to college, getting ready to fill out my college applications. And I would have been the first one to go to school, to go to college in my family. My dad was in the military, and he fought in the Vietnam War. My mom went to, they called it something different. Well, she got her associate's degree, I guess, but similar to an associate's degree. But I was very excited to go, and and we started talking about, my dad asked me, he said, what do you want to do, when you grow up? He said, I'll never forget that. And I was so irritated that he said that, because at 16, I thought I was grown up.
Right. Yeah. You have it all figured out. We all thought that the same way. Yes.
So I already had a chip on my shoulder. But then I told him, I said, I really don't know what I want to do. I've always had a passion for people. I love being social. I love talking to people and really getting into their psyche and understanding who they are. And I said, I'm very creative. I love art. I love graphic design. I love, just using my creative imagination. And so I said, I want to combine those two things. I don't really know what that looks like, but I want to combine those two. And so we started talking a little bit about it. And finally, my dad said, well, is it something like a nonprofit work or something like that? And I thought, oh, excuse me, that sounds kind of interesting. And he looked at me, and out of protection for me, he said, you probably won't make much money doing that.
Yeah.
And what I heard him say was, you'll never have success going after your dream. And that changed the trajectory of my life. I realized that my dream, at that point, I made a decision that my dream wasn't worthy of going after, that I needed to listen to the opinion and the approval of other people.
Well, we were all raised like that. That's it took a long time before we got to the point when we realized you don't really need permission.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what happened with then? What did you end up studying?
So I ended up going to college, and I got a sales and marketing degree.
Okay.
Because that's what my dad told me that I should do.
That was the perception of certainty that is the career that will make you money. Yeah.
Exactly. You'll have success in sales and marketing, Karrie. You're a pretty girl. You'll be able to sell this is what my dad was telling me, and I listened to him. So that's what I did. And when I got out of school, I went into sales and marketing, and had a fast track to success. I did very, very well on the outside. I met all my sales goals and quotas. I ended up, in management. And I did so well that I had a friend who came to me and she said, Karrie, I own a staffing agency, an employment agency. And I'm getting ready to retire, and I would really like to talk to you about coming and working for me for a little while and seeing if this is a good fit. And maybe, just maybe, you would be my successor. You could take over the business. And again, I listened to the opinion and approval of other people. I listened to some business associates that I had and other things, and I watched the shiny bouncy ball, right? And there was a lot of money to be made. And so I said yes, and I jumped in. And 6 months into the business, she offered us the opportunity, my husband and I, the opportunity to buy into her business so that we could eventually buy her out. And the reason that I really took this job was because, or this position was because I thought, I can help people here. I can put people to work. I can really, give them an opportunity to, to better themselves. Right. Yeah. So after we made the deposit and invested almost our entire life savings into the business, about a year later, I recognized that this really wasn't where I wanted to be.
Oh no.
That I can't force people to do things that they don't want to do. That people who don't have a full-time job, there's a reason why they don't have a full-time job, right? And
not all of them, but many, yeah.
Many,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
The people that I was working with. And there was a pivotal point where I had worked very diligently for a woman who came into the office, and she was looking for accountant position, accounts payable, accounts receivable. And I worked very hard to find her a position because she was recently divorced, on the verge of eviction, but very, very marketable, very pleasant. And I found her a position, worked very hard to find her a position where she could go full time eventually. But what happened was she filed a workman's comp claim against our company. She said that she tripped on a computer cord. We offered all the necessary, relief for her. And so the pivotal moment came when I was sitting across the table from her at the deposition. And she started to tell lie after lie about me, about my company, about her alleged injury.
Oh, wow.
And at that moment, I just felt so depleted. I felt so, stomped on. And
like your work has no purpose because it can't get anywhere, right?
That's right. That's right. Here I was giving her, a hand up, and she was taking me for a ride. And so I got back to my office that day, and I decided that I was going to go after my dream no matter what. I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know what I was going to do or how I was going to do it, but I just knew that there was something inside of me that said that I have more to give. I have more to give people. There's something more for me out there, and it's not this life-sucking experience that I've created for myself.
So what happened with the business?
So I walked away. I drew a line in the sand, and I said, I'm doing this no matter what. And fear rose up and gripped me in the stomach. I mean, didn't know, I was petrified. I didn't know if I was going to get the money back. I didn't know if I was going to be the laughing stock of the community, because all of my business associates said this was a good thing, right? I had prestige in the community. I didn't know if my husband was going to divorce me, because this was, one more thing that Karrie did that isn't working out, right? Yeah. But I knew also that on the other side of this comfort zone that I was kind of creating for myself was greatness, that I knew that there was something more for me. And so I walked away. And
that takes guts.
It took every ounce of energy that I had inside of me, but I knew that I couldn't do what I was doing. I mean, I'll tell you, Vera, at that point in my life, there were so many things that were negative in my life that I had to walk away in order to make a change. Right. I mean, my son was suffering from severe depression and ended up an epileptic with grand mal seizures. my my husband, and I our marriage was not going well because I was very unhappy.
Yeah.
My daughter was in college and she was suffering from anxiety. And quite frankly, and I'll be very transparent with you, I was drinking a bottle of wine a night because I was trying to drown out all of this chaos that I've created for myself.
Yeah. You want to quiet that stress, and
exactly. And all I was doing was just adding fuel to the fire, really.
That's also a great point that you're saying, because when one person is unhappy in a family, and this is not like unhappy because you didn't get what you wanted, but this is deep seated unsatisfaction with the life, it affects everybody around you, of
Absolutely.
course. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. My energy was negative, and you put off negative energy, you get negative energy back. So
what was, how when you are in this kind of circle that is really hard to get out of on your own, what made that shift for you? What did you find? What was the one thing that made you realize that, okay, this could be the way?
So I recognized that I had been trying to do this on my own for, 30 plus years, right? That I was really, trying to figure things out. And I decided at the moment, and I had therapy. I worked with a therapist, and that was fine, but it wasn't really what I was looking for. So I decided that I needed to find some help. And I started looking at and researching life coaches. And I found a program that just resonated with me. It's through her name is Mary Morrissey, the Brave Thinking Institute.
Oh yeah.
And I went through the Dream Builder program, and it just fed my soul. It lit my fire again for my dream, my vision for my life. And I loved it so much that I decided that I wanted to become a coach.
Yeah.
And it just was a perfect pathway to what I do now. And has given me a life that I absolutely love. I mean, I now have incredible relationships with my family. I mean, my son is getting married in April to his love.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And he's doing really, really well. Still navigating epilepsy. But doing well. My husband and I have the best relationship we've had in years. My daughter is married, we have our first grandbaby. Wow. She's doing well. And I, most importantly, feel like I've found my purpose and my place in life. And when I get to help other men and women have the same experience, that's what I'm here to do. That's one person at a time is all it takes.
That's really huge. Yeah, because some people never get there. And it's such a, I've spoken with someone who works with people under deathbed. And she said the biggest regret when people talked about look back in their life and if they are capable of doing that, the biggest regret was that they didn't do something that they wanted to do. And like you said, they were either talked out of it or didn't feel confident enough to approach it. And they never try what it is. And they never maybe felt fulfilled like you feel right now, because this is amazing. I'm really happy for you, because that's a path you find once in a lifetime, possibly.
That's right. Yeah. And since then, I have reinvented my coaching programs and different things to bring even more to my clients. But this is what I was put on this earth to do. And I look back on my life, and I don't look back on my life and feel negative about it. I look back on my life and think I'm so grateful for the path and the experiences and all that, because it led me to where I am today. And
I think that's one of the most important principles of living positive life as well, to be able to look back on whatever hardships and look at it as a lesson instead of regretting stuff.
That's exactly right. That's exactly. I believe that everything happens to us for a lesson. and we can either it can either shake us or shape us, right? And so I choose to have every challenge, every struggle, every heartache find the seed of good inside of it. So yeah,
that's fantastic. I'm familiar with Mary's teaching, and she's incredibly influential person, impactful in many different ways. So I'm sure you know what you're talking about. So how does it look like for people when they may be on a crossroads and maybe they are in an unfulfilling career and they feel like you did years back, damn, this can't be it. This is like, I'm so, or even people that have successful careers sometimes feel like, I don't have life. What's this can't be it. You know, and you know, from corporate world, when you are in a high position, you are successful, a lot of is also expected of you. So you hardly have any life. And you're still building somebody else's dream. So how does it look like if somebody is on that crossroads? What can they do? What can they start with to look at some options for themselves? How would it look like if they were deciding to approach you or to have some expectations? What can it mean to them?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is I would invite them to celebrate the fact that they know that there's something more. Because you know, there are many of us who are stuck in default patterns of life, you know, and don't really even know or think about or raise their level of awareness to, gosh, there's got to be something more out there than this, right? I mean, we all know people who, you know, they wake up, they press the alarm button 5 times, they get up, they put their pants on the same way, they have the same cup of coffee, drive the same way to work, right? The same thing every day. And when somebody has that nudge that says, gosh, there's got to be something more out there, that is something to celebrate, because that is showing that person that life is seeking expression, that there is more. Life is seeking a more freer, fuller, expanded expression of who you are. And so I would invite them, you know, to get real curious about, I wonder what's going on here. I wonder what that is. And you know, the first thing that I would do is seek someone to assist you, because one of the things that I know for sure, and my mentor tells me this all the time, is it's hard to see the picture when you're the one in the frame.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
So so seek support, a structure of support that can help you to really dive into your imagination and find out what that vision is that you have for your life. You know, what is it that you would love? Because when you start to do that, it opens up a whole world of possibility and opportunity that maybe you haven't even really realized or investigated yet.
Or you didn't have time to think about.
Or time to think about it. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And creating a vision. You know, Napoleon Hill, who's the author of Think and Grow Rich, he says all successful people, he says the most successful people begin with the end in mind. Meaning that, you know, we may have success and we may have some things that go well, but if we want true success, we have to create a vision of what that looks like. Allow God, universe, higher power, whatever you call that, to fill you up with the things that you would love, and allow your imagination to run free. And then, of course, you act as if you are that person in the vision, right? And that takes, there's some things that I work with my clients that we get through to really come from the energy of your vision in order to manifest it into your life. Because there are some things that, like I talked about earlier, the baggage, right? We got to let go of the baggage. If you haven't manifested your dream, it's because you've got some baggage around it.
Yeah.
Right. So to get back to and answer your question, celebrate the fact that you know that there's something more out there, right? Celebrate that fact, and then seek a structure of support, because leaving it up to our own devices, it doesn't happen. I mean, it might happen. You might have a little glimmer of some things happening, but to have true freedom, you really get to work through some things in order to get there.
It is true. It is true when you think of it. I remember when I was starting in coaching, and I remember following some groups on Facebook, and there were people that were not even exposed to open-mindedness and, you know, like personal growth and stuff. And I remember someone just posted, well, why do I need a life coach? They will like teach me about how to live my life or what? You know, very, very dismissively. And I was looking at it, it's like, wow, why would Michael Jordan have a coach? Did he want to just live ordinary life, or did he want to succeed and be the best in the world? You cannot, like you properly said, you cannot see yourself without somebody looking from the outside, when sometimes you really don't see the trees for the forest because you are all clogged up in your own world. And that's the perspective we have. And those moments when you can show somebody there may be a different way or expand the view is those like bulb moments when wow, I never thought of it that way. And it's the same for business, the same for life. When people have issues in their business and you are, you know, busy with operating your daily procedures, you can't possibly take a step back and view it as a bigger picture because the solution could be so easy, but it is not that you are not smart enough, but you are so overwhelmed with everything else that it's hard to get quiet and really see that. So that's where I find coaches are invaluable for that. And I'm hoping that people understand that even you may be very successful financially, but you may still be unfulfilled. And I have met people like that, unfortunately, that they followed successful career and then realize that's not what makes them happy. And you were example of that. You were following somebody's recommendation and then you realized it's not even my dream what I'm doing. And you were successful. It is not the amount of money that measures this success or joy or happiness in life. This is where people like you comes in.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. I tell my clients or my prospects all the time, you know, why does every successful sports team have a coach or professional athlete or business person? You know, I think of my husband, who's very successful in his industry. He has a coach. You know, all top professionals in their industries have coaches. And why is that? Why? It's because you can't, when you're running all day long, you don't see the full picture, and the coach helps you to get there. So yeah.
And to be honest, nobody needs a coach. No, not one person in the world needs a coach.
No.
But you may want one if you wanna go forward and if you wanna succeed and excel in something. There is plenty of sports teams that are so playing for joy, and there's many people that have no ambitions at all. But I think people like you and me feel almost physical pain when the purpose is not fulfilled.
Absolutely.
When you do much less than you feel that you are capable of, right?
Absolutely. And one thing I know for sure is that, you know, there are many people who have dreams, right, and have goals, but the reason that they haven't manifested them in their life because they haven't grown into that person. Right. You're not going to have those dreams and goals and still stay the same person that you are today.
With your today's mind. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
what do you find the most difficult when somebody starts working with you? What is the usual first obstacle you have to get over with to be able to show and expand their mind if they are not already, you know, in personal growth kind of space?
So the first thing that we do is we release the baggage, right? I do a technique called mental and emotional release technique. And it's really cracking through the conscious mind, which is the conscious mind is the gatekeeper, right? It's the mind that says, you can't do that. You don't have enough money. You don't have enough time. You're too old. You're too young, whatever, right? So we kind of scramble the conscious mind for lack of a better term, to get into the subconscious level and release the negative charge around whatever has happened in your life. There could be, for example, when I first started coaching, I had a money block. I believed that, all of the things, money doesn't grow on trees, right? That I don't, my grandma used to tell me that, people like us are never going to be rich like that. Right. So I had blocks. So I got to the root cause of that. And I did the work subconsciously, which is where all learning, behavior, and change happens. And I removed that block. So that's what I do with my clients is we find out what that block is and we get to the root cause of it.
So do they have to know exactly what is there?
They typically don't know what it is.
Yeah.
We work together to find it. And it's the hardest part. I'll have to say it's the most challenging part of the program. Because a lot of people don't really want to talk about stuff, but it's not, I'm not looking for content as much as I'm looking for context. Yeah. Right. I'm sorry if you've had trauma in your life and things like that. I don't really need to know all of that. I just want to know what was the context around it. What were the things that your mind was making up, while this was happening. Right. And so then we get to the root cause of that. And what that does is it opens up an opportunity to use your imagination to really live into that vision that your higher power is giving you. Right? That vision of your life. How would you love to live your life? What would you love to have, do, give, be, and create in your life? If we don't do that first step, that's where I give my clients an option, right? Because it is another, program to add on to. But if we don't do that first step, then there's blockage in your imagination. It's hard to come up with, well, what do I want to do? Who do I want to be? What do I want to create? Right. And so, once we release all of that, which is a beautiful process, then you can get into the imagination and really start to craft a vision for your life.
Yeah, that's fascinating because I know that how we are programmed, it's always the negatives are the default, unfortunately. Yes. And like, Tony Robbins says, whatever you focus on grows. So if you are in your head constantly thinking about what happened, why it happened, what did you screw up, who wronged you, whatever happened to you, it's like you giving more power and energy there. And obviously this got to be obstacle to create something positive in your life. You cannot create positive with a negative mind. So that's a huge step. And I know it's very valuable. Mm-hmm. So when, if somebody decides that this could be something that can help them, what, I know it's likely individual process, but what would it look like to work with you time-wise? What is the process? What can they expect?
Well, the first thing that I do is we have what I call a clarity call. And a clarity is a complimentary call where we talk for quite a bit, just kind of build some rapport, get to know one another. And then we talk about, what is it? What do you think is holding you back from living your dream? And then, I really kind of point out to you, or the prospect, that, if you don't make a change now, what is your life going to look like in 3 years?
Yes.
Right. What's going to, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So we're having this conversation for a reason. Mm-hmm. Right. And this is a no obligation phone call, right? I just help to point out some things that, hey, there's an easy way to do this. Let's press the easy button, right? And that call is really about, do we have good rapport?
Right.
Are you a good fit to be a client of mine? And am I a good fit to be a coach of yours? Right.
That's
we both get to really decide how that works.
Very good point, because I keep saying that, hiring a coach is very, very personal decision. And there are many personalities and many tools that you can, observe. And obviously everyone will resonate with somebody else. And I would encourage people that's one of the reasons why I do these podcasts, because we all resonate with different personalities. And if you ever consider to start working on yourself and use some professional help, it is so important that you pay attention to details and you see if that's somebody that can bring you there, because you have to be vulnerable. You have to be open. It makes no sense to pay money somebody to coach you and then you don't show up. Honestly, I mean, we can only tell so much stories to ourselves, but then underneath the surface, when it comes out, you have to be willing to be vulnerable with that person. So it's very, very personal decision. And I hope that, when we talk with Karrie, you can recognize what kind of personality she is and how she works, if that's something that you may consider for you.
Right. And I'm very transparent. And if it's not a good fit, I will refer you to other coaches that I know, because it does no one any good to work with somebody when there's not good rapport.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But if I can ask you, would you find it easier to work with women or men as far as their approach to being coachable comes?
Well, I don't want to sound, sexist here, but
That's all right.
I do have to say that women.
I asked that.
women tend to open up a little bit more. I've had some wonderful men in my program, but they're looking at it more on more of a business aspect, right? Which is fine. I can coach through that too.
Yeah.
I had one gentleman who came to me looking for the love of his life. He was 62 years old, never been married, looking for his soulmate. And he was tired of all the things that he'd been doing, for so many years. And I'm happy to report that so this was 2 years ago when we worked together. He did not find his soulmate while we were working together. However, 3 months after we stopped working together, he called me and said, I found the love of my life. We're getting married on New Year's Day. And so he's been
wonderful
for 2 years.
Yeah, it takes time to open your mind and perspective, for sure.
Yes. And men just use more of a logical mind, which, we need logic. That's, that's part of our human nature. But my technique is more on the spiritual side of our nature, right? What is your soul calling you to do? And so it takes a little bit longer to get into that dialogue with a man, just because of, there's some walls that get to be brought down. But and there's some women who do that too, but I just find that I think because I am a woman that it's easy, the walls come down a little faster.
Easier to relate. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So would you recall some other really successful story, without obviously acknowledging any information about the clients?
Yeah,
we keep the privilege. But some moments that really made your heart sing?
Yes, for sure. So one client of mine who comes to mind, her name is Jenny. You don't have to know her last name, but she came to me. We were on a Zoom call and she would not turn the light on in her room. And, very difficult to build rapport in the dark, but we started talking and she had told me that she was just wrapping up her third divorce with a man. And her dream, she had 3 little girls. She had a budding accounting business and really looking, to increase that, but also her dream was to have a home for her and her 3 girls. But she didn't believe that she could ever do that without a second income, a man. And she had such low self-esteem that she wouldn't turn the light on. So finally, after working through some things, releasing some of the baggage, working through some of the programs. Her dream was to own a home. She had a couple of road bumps, which were opportunities for growth. We talked about that. And she ended up at the end of a 12-week program that we were in together, working together. She was in escrow for her very first home, beautiful home on a lake in the foothills of California. And, you know, she was just beaming with joy. And one of the things that I just love about her story was one night she called me and she said, Karrie, she said, you're never going to believe what just happened. And I was like, what happened? And she said, it's snowing up here in the foothills. I had a flat tire. I've never changed a flat tire in my life, but I changed the flat tire all by myself with my girls watching me. And I was showing them how to do it. And I felt so empowered. I was so happy. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is why I do what I do, right?
Yeah.
A simple flat tire, but it was so empowering to her.
Yes.
Right, that she could do it on her own, and this was such a little thing,
but it really seems like a little thing. Yeah, exactly. But it's very meaningful.
Yeah. So it was really beautiful to hear her. So that was one story. Another story, there was, her name is Melissa. She is a doctor of physical therapy and a yoga instructor. And she was working almost 90 hours a week and not making the type of money excuse me, that a doctor of physical therapy should be making. And her dream was to work 3 days a week and buy a home in Florida for her vacation home for her family. And we worked together for about 6 months when she finally, what happened was she created an online program for yoga, and she was able to reduce her hours down to half. So she went from 90 to, I think it was 35 hours a week. But what that online program did was it increased her income and continued to increase her income so that she could reduce her hours so that she could have time to even go down to Florida to find the house.
That's
and
right.
By the time we got done working together, she owned the house. They were moving in, for the vacation home. And she was absolutely thrilled that she was working 30 hours a week and making, I think she 5x'd her income with the online program. And this was just from creating a vision, and living into that vision. She wanted to be this woman in the vision that was, only working, 30 hours a week, or I should say working 30 hours a week, but creating the income that she deserved to have, right? Instead of the income that she was just settling for.
This is fascinating to listen to, because that's also an eye-opening for someone who may be sitting on a fence and thinking if the investment in a coach is justified.
Absolutely.
And it all depends what the value of your dream and basically happiness in life you put on. Because I have a same experience. Even though we know the tools and we know the way to get there, and we understand a lot about coaching because we went through training ourselves, you cannot possibly coach yourself. You still have your own stories, and you still need somebody to look from the outside and point things that could be blind spots for you. So we all have coaches ourselves. We invest in ourselves to be on the best optimal possible help for our clients. So it's fascinating, and I hope that somebody who is listening to it considers that, because sometimes we settle in life for whole week, looking forward to the weekend that we will have 2 days, and then Sunday morning comes and we are already dreading about, oh my God, Monday is gonna be here. So you don't really live life. You constantly thinking either in the past or in the future. This is so important, because it's unfortunate true that we have one life to live, and why not make best of it at any age that you may find yourself in. Never late.
Yeah. I tell my clients, or prospects, I guess, if your car needed 4 tires on your car, you would find the money to get those tires. You need that vehicle to get to and from work or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Well, what's so different about you? If you need support or you deserve to have some support and some structure in your life to get you to where you want to go, find the money, find it, because the investment will pay off in dividends. I mean, the success that some of my clients have had, 5x their income. I mean, found the love of their life. I had another client she's now the #1 real estate agent in her area, in Virginia. Things like that you have to just trust in yourself and trust your coach and trust in the fact that, this is what life is calling you to do.
Yeah.
So,
and when you consider huge investments for colleges, that they don't equip you with anything like this for your life fulfillment. You really are just struggling to keep career or keep a job or just go through life however you were told that it's the right way. But feeling unfulfilled at the end of the life is really painful point to have. And I believe that's worth all the investment.
Absolutely, 100%. And any good coach has a coach.
Yeah.
Like you said, I mean, I invest heavily in my own personal development. And so, I want to be the best coach that I possibly can.
Exactly.
And so I share that with my clients.
Because I think the moment you think you know it all, it's the end of you.
That's 100%.
At least I'm one of those that I'm thrilled with learning new things. I'm still going after new techniques and it's empowering. It feels, I want to know. There's one, I don't know if it's in the Bible, but there's one wisdom that the older I am, the less I know, because the more I see how huge is the unknown for me. Because like you said, when you were 16, you thought you know it all. And I think we all did. And then you start realizing, oh my God, there's so much more that I never even heard of. And then I never even explore, not to mention learn about. So there's a reason why people either settle or they excel in whatever the goals are for their own life, because everybody's different.
That's right.
If I can ask you, if you consider to look back to that time when you were struggling with that business, realizing that's not you, and compare it to today, what would be the biggest difference in your life from the perspective of what you were doing with your life?
I think the biggest difference is that back then I was leading with my head, and I was doing what I thought made sense, or what the world was telling me that I should do. I was listening to the world speak, and now I listen to my soul speak. I do everything is soul led, and I have a very spiritual practice that allows me to listen to that still small voice inside of me that shows me the way and guides me in everything that I do. And what that allows me is more freedom. I was really in such a contracted, like a prison is coming to the word prison is coming to mind, because I didn't know how to get out of this life that I created for myself. I felt stuck.
And it was costly too.
And very costly. I mean, not only financially, but mentally, physically, I mean, everything, right? I was losing everything. And I'm very proud of the fact that I took the action step with fear. A lot of fear, a lot of, unknown, but I listened to my soul, and I knew that this was the path that my higher power wanted me to be on. And because of that, I have so much freedom. I have so much joy, so much abundance. I learn every day. I'm not perfect at it. I always tell my clients, it's kind of like, a rocket ship to the moon self-corrects all the way there, right? So that's what I'm doing. On my human journey, I'm self-correcting all the way. But I feel such a sense of just freedom. I mean, I still, pay my bills. I still, show up to work. I still do the things that are required, but I do it in such a way that fills my soul. I feel so full. And now, there was a time in my life when I was raising my kids, and I can remember I pulled off to the side of the road because I just felt so empty. And I started crying. And I called a girlfriend because I thought I was having a mental breakdown. And I called her and I told her what was going on. And she said, Karrie, you are pouring from an empty cup.
That's right.
What are you doing to fill yourself up? And at the time I thought, oh, I'm filling myself up because I love my children. I'm doing everything for them. And right. Now I recognize that and this is truly why I believe my family is where they are now, is because I filled my cup up first.
Yeah.
I took care of myself. I put even the airline says, put your own oxygen mask on first. Right?
Exactly. And especially as women, we always feel to be there for everybody else first. And that's the against the nature kind of step. That's absolutely necessary. Yeah.
That's right. And I share that with my clients, especially the women, all the time. Like, what are you doing for you? I just had a client whose mother passed away, and she was challenged right before the passing of, how do I take care of myself first? Well, it's not about going away to a spa weekend, right? It's about what are you doing? What are you filling your mind with? Right? What are you, are you praying? Are you meditating? Are you listening to positive music? Are you, just taking 5 minutes to yourself every day? Right. It's not the big, bonbons and, and all of that. It's just, 5-minute mental breaks. But so to answer your question, freedom, I felt like I was imprisoned, up until that moment in my life. And the moment that I made that decision and I took an action step, the world of possibility opened up to me. And all things that I was now on the awareness and the frequency of that's in harmony with the dream that I've had my entire life.
And that's a huge visual that you just put out there. That's a huge, yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, I started seeing things that I hadn't seen before. I started receiving things that I never would have received. I mean, it was just an incredible experience, and I felt so much freedom, and still do to this day.
Well, if somebody's listening who is in that crossroad, I hope you can feel how the aura of sunshine around Karrie, and you may want to bask in that same light. You may want to reach out and find out what it would take to get where she is right now, because it would be a shame to go through life with that song unsung in you, like they say, or that book unwritten in you. And many do. They just give up on themselves and they keep going through life as needed, and settle and settle and settle, and then one day you realize, oh my gosh, it's too late now. Yeah. I believe it's never too late. That's why my name.
If you're still breathing and you still have oxygen in your lungs, there's a reason.
Exactly. I have that's the reason why I name my company Third Chances, because I believe we don't only deserve second chance, but many, many, many more, whatever is necessary until we find our path and until we find that right thing. One question came to mind when you were talking about spiritual, because I know some people they have some perception about spirituality, and maybe especially men that tend to be very practical and logical. Can you still help someone who comes to you that says, nah, I don't believe in this stuff? Like, is there a chance that you can still get through them to kind of realize that they also have a heart and soul for a reason?
Yes, there are some techniques that I use that help them to understand that we're not just human beings, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And I, without giving away, everything, there are some techniques that I use to help them to understand what that is. And I meet everybody where they are, if it's not that I'm dumping spiritual guru-ness on you, right?
Right.
It's just that I want you to understand that, you know, we have a human journey. Our human journey begins here, right, at birth. And I like to say way, 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 way out there, you know, it ends. But even science says, and we are walking balls of energy, science says that, but science also says that energy cannot be created or destroyed. So when our body lays down for the very last time, the energy is still there. What is that energy? Well, we call it our spirit, our soul.
Mhm.
You can call it whatever you want. You can
Yeah.
call it energy, but it's there, right? And so so I help them to understand that, and we can take a science approach, because I love science and I love talking about, you know, the chemical toxins, I mean, the chemical mix up in our body and how, you know, all of that. So yeah, it's absolutely an opportunity to just explore in other facets and thought processes. Yeah. Yeah.
If I had the opportunity to ask your husband today,
Uh-huh.
what would be the one sentence that he would describe you with? What do you think he would say?
Okay, so something just dropped in for me, and I'm going to share this with you. There's a country song out right now called "The Painter," and he in the song he says, "My world was black and white, but she's the painter." And my husband actually said, "This is your song. You are my painter," because I bring to life, not just to him, but to life, opportunities, possibilities, resources. I mean, awareness level, right? Like, let's not just think inside this little box. There is no box. And so I think he would say that she's the painter. She paints vivid expressions, vivid, beautiful opportunities, and helps you to see that as well.
I love it. I love it. I was going to ask about something very wise to close our conversation with, but I think you just did.
Oh,
That was beautifully said.
thank you.
That was so enjoyable. And you seriously, you bring that light and shine, even via our Zoom call when we are only watching each other at the camera. And I hope that people will recognize that from your voice. And obviously you are invited. You can watch us on YouTube as well. It is worth it to meet Karrie Mitten. And I am trying to remember, I think you were talking about something that we may have to invite people to. Yes, you are doing this, the Tada Club, a mindset makeover for confidence. Would you like to tell a little more about that?
Sure, I'd love to. So this is a really easy way to work with me. The Tada Club, it's a membership. So every week I send a mindset makeover recording that just gives you a little something to think about throughout the week and implementation of that thought, right? Because I'm a firm believer that you can listen to all kinds of things, you can read all kinds of books, but if you don't put it into action, it will never become part of your reality. It won't become part of your cellular recognition, right? That's where the rubber meets the road, I believe. So in this Tada Club, we talk about, you know, boosting your self-confidence, eliminating self-sabotaging behaviors, finding your passion, right? Finding your purpose, having more fun, you know, all of the things that are required to live a life that you absolutely love. And then once a month, we have a Zoom call, mastermind, where we all come together and you have an opportunity to be coached, bring to the table whatever is coming up for you, or we just talk about, you know, what we have talked about throughout the week or throughout the month. It's just a really great opportunity to work with me at a very low barrier entry. So really fun. The other thing I also do, if I can mention, is I'm also a retreat host. So
that's right. I forgot about that. Sorry. Yes.
That's okay. No. I have twice a year. So the next one is coming up in May 2nd through the 5th. And it's a 5-star luxurious retreat weekend where we stay in this beautiful home. I bring a private chef and we leave everything that is no longer serving you on the mountain. and you go home with such a refreshed, renewed sense of life and just ready to take it on. It's really, really impactful, really powerful. And I would love to support your listeners and inviting them to come to that as well.
That's wonderful, because it just, when you said that, I just remember one of my first clients when she said, you have no idea how big stone just fell off my chest. And exactly that image of leaving everything that's holding you back, that's causing you pain, that's causing you really sabotaging your efforts in life, leaving it somewhere and drop it once and for good. That
right.
thing alone is worth in gold.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we do it in luxury and style, so I can't get any better than that.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. This was very powerful and very enjoyable for myself.
Good.
Thank you so much, Karrie, for making time for us. I know your schedule is very busy, so I really appreciate that you made time for us, and I hope everybody enjoyed this time. And please, if you feel compelled, reach out to Karrie. I will post all the contact information below our show notes. So feel free to reach out directly, and you may want to take a little slow test drive through her membership and see if that resonates with you and works. And who knows, maybe one day you will raise your hand and say, okay, enough. I have enough of waiting. I want it now. And once you get to that mode when you feel everything is possible, that's the right time to really go for stars. And I felt like that today with Karrie. I hope you had a similar feeling. We have the wings, why not fly?
Thank you so much, Vera. Thank you.
Thank you.